When relationships end, the aftermath can feel like a whirlwind of emotions, leaving you grappling with confusion, heartbreak, and a sense of loss. It's natural to search for clarity or closure, hoping for a resolution that eases the pain. Yet, in this quest to make sense of it all, many people fall into patterns of behavior that can hinder their growth and prolong their suffering. Whether it's seeking answers from an ex, replaying past mistakes, or clinging to the hope of reconciliation, these actions often come at the expense of your emotional well-being and personal progress. The end of a relationship isn't just an ending. It's also an opportunity for transformation, a chance to redefine who you are and what you want moving forward. Breakups often feel like a loss of control. When someone you care about decides to leave, it's easy to feel powerless and question your worth. You might start asking yourself, was it my fault? Could I have done something differently? While these thoughts are natural, they can also become traps that keep you stuck in a cycle of self-blame or unrealistic hope. It's important to remember that not all questions have answers, and not all endings are meant to be rewritten. Clinging to the past for resolution or allowing your self-worth to be dictated by someone else's actions only delays your healing. True closure comes from within, and your journey forward begins when you reclaim your power and focus on your own growth. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, reminds us that we have power over our thoughts, not external events. This wisdom is particularly relevant in moments of heartbreak. While you can't control how others treat you or whether they stay, you can control how you respond. It's in these moments of pain and uncertainty that your inner strength is forged. By choosing to shift your focus from what you've lost to what you can gain, you create space for growth, healing, and new possibilities. Each step you take away from the past and toward the future is an act of self-empowerment, a declaration that your happiness and self-worth are not dependent on anyone else. This journey isn't about forgetting the past, but learning from it. Every relationship teaches you something about love, about others, and most importantly, about yourself. The key is to carry those lessons with you, not as burdens, but as stepping stones to a brighter future. By reflecting on what went wrong, you can gain clarity on what you want and deserve moving forward. This clarity is the foundation of self-improvement, helping you avoid old patterns and embrace healthier, more fulfilling relationships. As you navigate the path of healing, remember that you are not alone. The end of a relationship is a universal experience, yet your response to it can set you apart. With the right mindset and the courage to prioritize your growth, you can transform heartache into a powerful catalyst for change. The best chapters of your story are still unwritten, and they begin when you decide to turn the page. Number 1, letting emotions take the driver's seat. When emotions take the driver's seat, they steer your actions in ways that are often impulsive and clouded by immediate feelings. After a breakup, the storm of emotions can feel overwhelming: anger, sadness, frustration, confusion, all of these swirling together in a way that makes it difficult to think clearly or act rationally. In these moments, it can be easy to make decisions based solely on how you're feeling in that instant. You might think, I need to reach out to them to express how hurt I am, or I can't handle this pain anymore. I need them back to feel whole again. These emotional responses are natural, but can often lead you down a destructive path, causing more pain and prolonging your suffering. The Stoic philosophers, including Marcus Aurelius, understood that emotions, while natural, are not always trustworthy guides for decision-making. They often cloud our judgment and lead us to act in ways that we might later regret. To live a life of wisdom and strength, it is essential to acknowledge and feel your emotions without allowing them to dictate your actions. Instead of acting out of impulse, you can create space between what you feel and how you respond. Emotions exist for a reason. They signal how we are experiencing the world around us, but they do not define who we are or what we should do. In the heat of a breakup, emotions may feel like an uncontrollable force, but it's crucial to remember that you have the power to choose how you respond. For example, anger may arise from feelings of betrayal or injustice, but if you act on that anger impulsively, it can lead to hurtful actions or words you can't take back. Sadness might make you want to withdraw or ignore your needs, but by giving into it without processing, you risk staying stuck in a state of helplessness. Even the longing for your ex may drive you to reach out, hoping they will provide the closure or comfort you crave, but that often leads to more confusion and heartache. The truth is, letting emotions take control of your decisions keeps you trapped in a cycle of emotional reactivity where you're constantly at the mercy of how you feel. The Stoic approach offers a more balanced path, to recognize emotions for what they are, to feel them fully, but not to allow them to override your reason. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the essence of Stoic wisdom, acknowledging your emotions but not letting them be the master of your actions. By taking a step back, you can observe your emotions without being swept away by them. You can ask yourself, what is this emotion teaching me? Why do I feel this way? What can I do to process this emotion constructively? Taking a pause between feeling and acting allows you to respond from a place of clarity rather than reaction. You can choose to express yourself in a healthy way, to process your feelings privately, or to seek support rather than lashing out or acting out of impulse. By practicing this emotional intelligence, you are not suppressing your feelings or denying your pain, but you are also not allowing them to control your every move. In fact, the more you practice this pause, the more you become aware of the power you have over your emotional state. You realize that emotions, though powerful, are temporary visitors. They come and go, but you remain steady. By learning to take a step back, you can give yourself the space needed to heal, reflect, and make decisions that align with your highest values, not your fleeting emotions. This approach empowers you to move through the pain and uncertainty of a breakup with grace and wisdom, ultimately leading you to a place of deeper self-awareness and strength. Letting emotions take the driver's seat may provide short-term relief or a temporary sense of validation, but it will not lead you to long-term peace or resolution. By learning to respond with clarity rather than reacting impulsively, you will not only navigate the pain of the breakup more effectively, but also grow stronger, more resilient, and more capable of handling life's challenges with calm and intention. Number 2. Waiting for them to give you closure. Waiting for your ex to give you closure can feel like a natural desire, but it's often an illusion that only prolongs your suffering and keeps you tethered to the past. When a relationship ends, there's often a deep yearning to understand why it fell apart, why they acted the way they did, or why they left in the first place. This need for closure can become all-consuming, as if the answer from them will magically heal the emotional wounds and give you the peace you crave. However, this mindset places your emotional well-being and peace of mind in the hands of someone else, someone who may never provide the answers you're seeking, or worse yet, may not even care to. Relying on your ex for closure is essentially waiting for someone who's no longer part of your life to fix something that was broken during the relationship. It's a trap that can keep you stuck, emotionally tied to the past, hoping for a resolution that might never come. The truth is, closure doesn't come from external sources. It comes from within. Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius taught that we are the masters of our own emotions and responses. Instead of seeking answers from someone who may never provide them, the Stoic approach encourages you to find closure within yourself. You don't need your ex's explanation or apology to move forward. Your peace of mind isn't dependent on them or their actions. It's something you can create for yourself by reframing the narrative of your relationship and focusing on what you've learned. For example, you might reflect on the relationship and acknowledge what worked, what didn't, and how it has contributed to your growth. Rather than obsessing over what went wrong or why they did what they did, shift your focus to the lessons you've learned and how they've shaped you. What has the relationship taught you about yourself? What values or standards do you now have that you didn't before? This self-reflection is a form of closure that no one else can give you. It empowers you to take control of your healing process and move forward without needing anyone's permission or explanation. Seeking closure from your ex can also be a form of emotional dependency, where you place your emotional well-being on their behavior or response. If they never give you closure, you could be left feeling stuck, helpless, and incomplete. The reality is that you are already whole, and you don't need anyone else to complete you or validate your feelings. Stoicism teaches that we should not let external events, including the actions of others, define our sense of peace or happiness. Instead of waiting for your ex to give you closure, take the initiative to create it yourself. By recognizing your own strength and wisdom, you can decide to close that chapter on your own terms. A key Stoic principle is to accept the things we cannot change and focus on what we can control. In the case of closure, you cannot change the past or control how your ex behaves, but you can control how you choose to respond. This shift in perspective takes the power back into your hands and frees you from the emotional hold your ex may still have over you. Instead of waiting for an answer or apology that may never come, you can choose to release the need for closure and begin healing on your own. You deserve peace, and you have the ability to give it to yourself. The journey to healing is about acknowledging your emotions, accepting the end of the relationship, and deciding to move forward, even without the answers you thought you needed. As you embrace this Stoic approach, you'll find that closure doesn't come from external sources. It's something you create within yourself through self-awareness, acceptance, and personal growth. Ultimately, waiting for closure from your ex will only keep you stuck in the past, while the real opportunity for growth lies in your ability to let go, move on, and trust that you have the power to create your own peace. Number 3, falling back into familiar patterns. Falling back into familiar patterns after a breakup is an all-too-common pitfall, one that often happens unconsciously, driven by the comfort of what's familiar. When a relationship ends, there's a natural tendency to seek the stability, safety, or emotional comfort that we once had, and often we turn back to the patterns that were established during the relationship. Whether it's reaching out to your ex, engaging in the same behaviors that contributed to the breakup, or settling for situations that don't align with your growth, falling back into these old habits can feel like a way to quickly return to a sense of normalcy. However, doing so often comes with a deep cost. Stoic philosophy teaches that we must embrace change and continuously evolve, rejecting the comfort of the familiar if it no longer serves our growth or well-being. The Stoics believed that we should focus on the present moment, acting with intention and wisdom rather than succumbing to impulsive reactions based on past experiences. In the case of falling back into old patterns, this means questioning why we are returning to behaviors or situations that we know are detrimental to our progress. When you find yourself gravitating back to a place or person that contributed to your heartbreak, it's vital to pause and reflect. Are you seeking comfort because it's what you've always known, or are you truly pursuing something that aligns with your current values and aspirations? If you're honest with yourself, you'll likely realize that what feels like comfort is merely familiarity, not real fulfillment or growth. The danger lies in letting these familiar patterns dictate your future, trapping you in a cycle of emotional dependence or stagnation. By giving in to these patterns, you're essentially denying the opportunity for self-improvement and evolution. Every time you return to what once was, you're re-entering a narrative that no longer serves you, one that's rooted in old wounds and unresolved issues. Stoic wisdom teaches us that we should not allow external events or past situations to define us. Instead, we must focus on cultivating a mindset of resilience, where we actively shape our responses to challenges in a way that aligns with our highest values. Falling back into old patterns is an unconscious response to discomfort. But with awareness, you can break free from these cycles. The key is to stop seeking temporary fixes and start focusing on long-term fulfillment. Growth happens when we're willing to challenge the familiar, even when it feels safer or easier. It's about breaking free from the patterns that once served us, but now limit our potential. Instead of seeking validation or closure from a past relationship or resorting to old habits, the Stoic approach encourages us to look ahead. What type of person do you want to become? What kind of relationships, experiences, and opportunities do you want to invite into your life? To move forward, you must leave the familiar behind, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. As the Stoic Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Your ability to respond consciously, rather than falling back into what's familiar, will ultimately determine your growth and your future happiness. Instead of returning to patterns that drain you, focus on creating new, empowering ones. Surround yourself with people who support your growth. Engage in activities that challenge you and make choices that align with your true self. The more you practice self-awareness and embrace change, the easier it becomes to break free from the past. Falling back into familiar patterns is a trap that keeps you stuck in a cycle of emotional stagnation. However, by rejecting the pull of the past and focusing on growth, you can create a future that's rooted in strength, resilience, and true fulfillment. It's about letting go of what no longer serves you and having the courage to embrace the unknown, knowing that your best self is waiting to emerge on the other side. Number 4, letting your self-worth depend on them. Letting your self-worth depend on someone else is a deeply ingrained pattern that can significantly impact your emotional well-being, especially after a breakup. When you tie your sense of value to the approval, love, or presence of another person, you're setting yourself up for instability and emotional turbulence. This external validation becomes a crutch, one that you rely on to feel worthy, lovable, or enough. In the context of a breakup, this often manifests as a desperate desire for reconciliation or a need for closure from your ex. You might find yourself constantly wondering if you were the reason things fell apart, or if you're not good enough to maintain the relationship. This type of thinking is toxic because it shifts the focus away from your inherent worth and places it in the hands of someone else's actions or feelings. Stoic philosophy emphasizes the importance of internal self-sufficiency, teaching that our worth is not determined by external circumstances or the approval of others. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, reminded us that the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. In other words, your self-worth is something that must come from within, not from the fleeting opinions or affections of others. When you let your value depend on someone else, you're essentially giving away your power. You become a slave to their approval or rejection, and your emotional state becomes fragile and unpredictable. This is a dangerous cycle to be trapped in, as it leaves you vulnerable to disappointment, hurt, and constant self-doubt. Instead of standing firm in your own value, You start chasing external validation, never fully satisfied because it's always dependent on something outside yourself. True self-worth comes from recognizing your own unique qualities, embracing your strengths and flaws, and cultivating a sense of inner peace that isn't reliant on others' opinions. This mindset shift is crucial in breaking free from the damaging belief that your worth is contingent upon the people around you. Think about it. If your sense of value is constantly tied to someone else, you're not allowing yourself the space to fully heal or grow. You're stuck in a cycle of dependence, where your emotional state swings with the whims of another person. This can lead to feelings of insecurity, unfulfillment, and even resentment. On the other hand, when you take responsibility for your own worth, you're empowered to move forward with confidence, regardless of how others treat you. This doesn't mean you stop caring about others or their opinions. It simply means you stop letting them dictate your value. You recognize that your worth is intrinsic, independent of any relationship or external circumstance. When you stop seeking validation from your ex or anyone else, you free yourself from the chains of insecurity and self-doubt. You can then focus on building your own self-love, self-respect, and self-confidence. It's important to realize that just because a relationship ended doesn't mean you're any less worthy of love, respect, or happiness. You are not defined by your relationship status, the actions of others, or how someone else treated you. Your value comes from who you are, how you show up for yourself, and the way you cultivate your own growth. The Stoics believed in practicing self-control, focusing on what is within our control, and accepting what is not. What you can control is how you view yourself and how you choose to respond to external circumstances. Your worth is not up for negotiation, and it certainly isn't dependent on the validation of anyone else. If you constantly seek your worth from someone else, you're likely to feel incomplete, because no amount of external approval can fill the void that comes from not recognizing your own inherent value. The path to healing and moving forward lies in recognizing that your worth is unwavering, regardless of the end of a relationship or anyone's actions toward you. By embracing your value from within, you empower yourself to build a life based on authenticity and self-love, not on the approval of others. It's only when you stop letting your self-worth depend on someone else that you can truly begin to heal and move forward, ready to attract the kind of love and respect you deserve. Number 5. Pushing your emotions aside. Pushing your emotions aside after a breakup might seem like a way to gain control and move on quickly, but in reality, it's a harmful coping mechanism that can prevent you from healing properly. Emotions are not something to be suppressed or ignored. They are powerful signals that provide valuable insight into your inner world and your needs. When you push them aside, you are essentially denying yourself the opportunity to process your feelings, learn from them, and grow. This behavior may stem from a desire to avoid pain or vulnerability, but in doing so, you risk burying unresolved emotions that will resurface later in ways that could be more damaging. The Stoics, particularly Marcus Aurelius, taught that we cannot control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond. However, they also acknowledged that it is essential to acknowledge and examine our emotions instead of repressing them. By pushing your emotions aside, you're not responding wisely or with awareness. You're simply suppressing your natural human reactions, which only leads to more inner turmoil. When you ignore your emotions, they don't just vanish, they accumulate, building up in the background, waiting to be acknowledged. Over time, this can lead to emotional numbness, where you no longer feel or respond to situations as you once did. This emotional shutdown can make it even harder to move on or connect with others. It's like trying to drive a car with the brakes on. No matter how fast you go, you're not truly moving forward. True healing requires you to lean into your emotions even when it feels uncomfortable. Feeling sadness, anger, regret, and confusion after a breakup is natural and human. These emotions are not enemies to be avoided, but rather friends that guide you through the process of healing. By facing them head-on, you can gain clarity and understanding about what went wrong, what you need to learn, and what you want in the future. Suppressing these feelings may provide temporary relief, but it's only a matter of time before they resurface, often in more destructive ways. You may find yourself lashing out, withdrawing from others, or becoming stuck in negative thought patterns, all signs that you have not dealt with your emotions in a healthy way. On the other hand, embracing your emotions allows you to release them naturally. By sitting with your feelings and acknowledging their presence, you grant yourself the freedom to let them go. This process is crucial for personal growth and self-awareness, as it fosters emotional intelligence and resilience. Emotions like pain, grief, and anger may seem overwhelming in the moment, but by allowing yourself to feel them fully, you build a deeper understanding of who you are and what you need. Pushing emotions aside also prevents you from gaining the closure that you might be seeking after a breakup. Instead of allowing yourself the time to process and reflect, you deny the emotional experience that is necessary for true closure. Closure is not something external. It comes from within, and it requires you to accept and release your emotions, not to suppress them. It's important to remember that you don't need to rush your healing process. You don't have to get over a breakup in a set time frame. Your emotions will not be on a schedule, and that's perfectly okay. Give yourself permission to grieve, to feel angry, or to even feel a sense of loss. These emotions are temporary, but they are necessary for moving forward with strength. Releasing emotions is not a sign of weakness. It's an act of self-care and self-respect. By acknowledging your emotions, you reclaim your power and allow yourself to heal on your own terms. The journey of healing and moving forward is about taking small steps, not about suppressing your feelings in order to appear fine. Recognize that your emotions are a vital part of the process, and that by embracing them, you will ultimately emerge stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Number 6. Clinging to the past for resolution. Clinging to the past for resolution after a breakup is a common but ultimately damaging mistake. It's tempting to believe that by revisiting the relationship or holding on to the memories of what once was, you can somehow fix what went wrong. The nostalgia of the good times can create a powerful longing, making you yearn for the past as if it holds the key to the future. However, this approach prevents you from fully moving forward, keeping you stuck in a cycle of longing and disappointment. The past, with all its beauty and pain, cannot offer you the resolution you seek. As Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher, wisely said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." If you allow your thoughts to remain fixed on the past, you are choosing to remain anchored to a version of yourself and your life that no longer exists. The reality is, relationships end for a reason, whether it's due to incompatibilities, broken trust, or other fundamental issues that couldn't be resolved at the time. Clinging to the past means ignoring the lessons that these experiences were meant to teach you. It's as if you're walking backward, trying to follow a path that no longer leads anywhere. The pain of the breakup can create a sense of longing for resolution, but the truth is, no amount of looking back will change the facts. What happened, happened, and dwelling on it keeps you locked in a cycle of regret and what-ifs. The Stoics teach us that we have no control over external events, only our reactions to them. Instead of focusing on how things used to be or wishing they could have been different, it's far more productive to focus on what you can control, your present thoughts and actions. When you cling to the past, you deny yourself the opportunity to heal and grow. You might think that reconciliation or a return to the way things were will bring closure, but this is often an illusion. Reconciliation without meaningful change is simply a repeat of old patterns. Until both people have evolved and addressed the issues that led to the breakup, there is little chance of lasting peace. The past is full of lessons, but those lessons cannot be learned by endlessly revisiting old wounds. They can only be applied when you choose to look ahead and build a better future. By clinging to the past, you may also be holding on to a version of yourself that no longer fits who you are becoming. Growth requires change, and change demands that you leave behind old ways of thinking and being. Every time you try to go back to what was, you risk stifling the person you are becoming, preventing yourself from reaching new heights of self-awareness and happiness. The resolution you seek is not found in the past, but in the future you can create by learning from your experiences and choosing to let go of what no longer serves you. Instead of waiting for closure from an external source, you must find it within yourself. This can be a painful process, but it is also empowering. It means accepting that the relationship is over and embracing the opportunity to shape your life moving forward. Instead of asking, "What if?" ask yourself, "What's next?" The future holds untold possibilities, but to access them, you must be willing to release the past and trust that you are worthy of a better future. The Stoic mindset encourages us to focus on the present moment and what is within our control, rather than getting lost in what cannot be changed. When you cling to the past for resolution, you are allowing it to define your present and dictate your future. Letting go of the past is an act of self-liberation. It is the key to moving forward and finding peace. By shifting your focus from what has been to what could be, you open yourself up to new opportunities, new growth, and a future that is brighter than any past you are trying to hold on to. In time, you will realize that the resolution you sought from the past was always within you, waiting to be unlocked by your willingness to move on. Number 7. Letting the past dictate your path forward. Letting the past dictate your path forward is one of the most limiting mistakes you can make after a breakup. It's incredibly easy to fall into the trap of viewing your past relationship as the defining story of your life, allowing it to shape your present and future decisions. The pain of the breakup, coupled with the memories of what once was, can create a powerful pull, urging you to stay anchored in a place that no longer serves you. The truth, however, is that your past is not a blueprint for your future. It is simply a collection of experiences that have already been lived. When you let the past dictate your path forward, you lose the ability to fully embrace the potential that the future holds. Instead of seeing each new day as an opportunity to grow, learn, and evolve, you become trapped in a cycle of comparisons, regrets, and what-ifs. This mindset keeps you tethered to a version of yourself that may no longer exist. Every time you look back at the past, you risk missing out on the chance to create a new, empowered version of your life. As Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher, wisely stated, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." If you let your thoughts be anchored in past pain and memories, you are choosing to define your future by a period of your life that is no longer relevant. Your future is not predetermined by your past experiences. It is shaped by your actions, choices, and mindset today. When you let the past control your decisions, you are essentially telling yourself that you are unable to evolve. Growth requires forward motion, and holding on to the past only hinders your ability to move forward. Relationships end for various reasons, many of which point to deep-rooted issues, incompatibilities, or personal growth that couldn't be realized within the confines of the relationship. By constantly revisiting the past, you prevent yourself from addressing the underlying lessons and moving beyond them. The Stoic mindset teaches us that we cannot change what has happened, but we do have control over how we respond. Instead of letting the past dictate your path forward, focus on the present moment and what you can do right now to create a better future. This does not mean ignoring the lessons of the past, but rather using them as stepping stones for future growth, not as a weight that keeps you stagnant. Your journey is yours to shape, and allowing the past to drive your future choices only robs you of the opportunity to chart your own course. It's easy to fall into the trap of believing that your past mistakes or failed relationships define your worth. The fear of repeating the same mistakes can keep you stuck, paralyzed by indecision or self-doubt. However, the reality is that you are not the sum of your past experiences. You are the sum of your ability to learn, adapt, and grow from them. Every new moment is an opportunity to rewrite your story, and letting the past control your choices prevents you from seizing that opportunity. The key to breaking free from this cycle is to embrace the idea that the past is a lesson, not a life sentence. It has shaped who you are, but it does not have the power to dictate who you will become. By letting go of the grip the past has on you, you allow yourself to create space for new possibilities, new relationships, and new opportunities that are more aligned with the person you are becoming. Moving forward requires a mindset shift. Instead of asking, "What if I repeat the past?" ask yourself, "What can I do differently now?" Instead of letting the past's failures define your worth, remind yourself that you have the ability to learn and grow from every experience. The Stoics emphasize the importance of focusing on what is within our control, and the one thing you can always control is your mindset and actions. The power to shape your future is within your hands, not in the hands of what has already passed. Letting the past dictate your path forward only limits your potential. By choosing to focus on the present and future, you open yourself up to the endless possibilities that await. Life is a journey of continuous growth, and the best chapters of your story are still ahead of you. Don't let the past be the anchor that holds you back from sailing into your future with confidence, clarity, and purpose. Your future is not defined by where you've been, but by where you choose to go from here.